What if I told you that America's tech icon Apple made a deal with China's communist regime? It sounds like fiction, a plot twist from a political thriller. But it's not just a story. This is the reality that underpins every iPhone and MacBook in the world today. Behind the sleek glass and aluminum, behind the glowing screens and cutting-edge design, lies a partnership that has shaped not only Apple's destiny, but the very fabric of global technology. Apple's rise from near bankruptcy in the late 1990s hinged on a desperate gamble. To survive, it needed to build revolutionary products at prices the world could afford. The company was on the brink, searching for a lifeline, and the answer came from an unexpected place. The answer? China, offering not just cheap labor but vast manufacturing capacity, government incentives, and a chance for Apple to reinvent itself on a global scale. China's factories could produce at a speed and scale that was simply unmatched anywhere else. But this wasn't just about building more factories, it was a high-stakes partnership. Apple got its manufacturing miracle, and China got jobs, technology, and a powerful foothold in the global supply chain. Both sides saw opportunity, but both also knew the risks. The initial handshake soon became a web of obligations and compromises, as Apple found itself drawn deeper into China's orbit. Apple has had to navigate strict censorship laws, hand over user data to Chinese authorities, and adapt its products to fit the demands of the Chinese government. The company has also made massive financial commitments, investing billions in local infrastructure, research centers, and retail stores to keep Beijing happy and maintain access to the world's largest consumer market. The company that once promised to smash conformity and empower the individual now finds itself conforming to the demands of the world's most powerful autocracy, sometimes at the expense of its own values. How did Apple, the champion of thinking different, become so entangled with a regime that crushes dissent and controls information? What was the true cost of this partnership? This is the untold story of Apple's journey into the heart of the dragon's lair, a tale of ambition, survival, and the price of unimaginable wealth. It's a story that reveals the hidden forces shaping our digital lives. We'll peel back the layers, from the relentless pace of Foxconn's factory floors, where millions of devices are born, to secret meetings in Beijing's gleaming towers, where deals are struck and futures decided behind closed doors. Did Apple make a brilliant business move, or did it walk into a beautifully designed trap? The answer matters for us all, because the choices Apple made in China echo far beyond Silicon Valley and shape the world we live in today. In the late 1990s, Apple was on the brink of collapse. The company that once revolutionized personal computing was now struggling to stay afloat, its products losing relevance and its finances in dire straits. Employees worried about their jobs, and the tech world wondered if Apple would even survive the decade. Steve Jobs had just returned, but the company's future was uncertain. His comeback brought hope, but also tough decisions. Apple needed a radical transformation to avoid fading into obscurity. Apple's American-made products were too expensive to compete globally. Manufacturing in the US meant higher costs, slower production, and limited ability to scale up quickly. Competitors overseas were already outpacing Apple in both price and efficiency. To launch the iPod and later the iPhone, Apple needed a manufacturing miracle: high quality, massive scale, rock-bottom cost. The company had to find a way to build millions of devices, fast, without sacrificing the design and reliability that defined Apple. China was opening up, offering cheap land, low taxes, and a disciplined workforce. The country was eager to become the world's factory, investing heavily in infrastructure and training millions of workers for high-tech manufacturing. Tim Cook, Apple's operations chief, saw the opportunity and moved manufacturing to China. He recognized that China's scale and efficiency could transform Apple's fortunes, and he built relationships with local suppliers and government officials to make it happen. This wasn't just about cheap labor, it was about scale and speed. Chinese factories could ramp up production overnight, something no other country could match at the time. In China, factories could hire thousands overnight and adapt instantly to design changes. If Apple needed a new part or a last-minute tweak, Chinese partners could deliver in days, not months. This flexibility let Apple innovate rapidly and launch products globally with unprecedented speed. The world watched as Apple's devices hit shelves everywhere, seemingly overnight, setting new standards for the industry. Designed by Apple in California became the slogan, but the reality was, assembled in China. The sleek devices in customers' hands were the result of a global partnership, with China at its heart. The iPod's success cemented China as Apple's manufacturing engine. Every iPod, iPhone, and iPad that followed deepened this relationship, making China indispensable to Apple's rise. But this engine ran on rules set by the Chinese Communist Party. Apple had to navigate strict regulations, censorship, and government oversight to keep its supply chain running smoothly. Apple solved its production crisis but tied its future to an authoritarian regime. The company's dependence on China became both its greatest strength and its biggest risk. The seeds of today's dependency were sown in this desperate, brilliant move. What began as a lifeline for Apple would shape the entire tech industry for decades to come. Apple's survival came at a cost it's still paying. The company's future and the future of global technology remains deeply intertwined with China's ambitions and its rules. Apple's partner in China was Foxconn, led by the ambitious and relentless Terry Gou, a visionary who transformed electronics manufacturing. Foxconn didn't just build factories, they constructed entire factory cities. These were sprawling, self-contained worlds, complete with dormitories, cafeterias, and even hospitals, housing hundreds of thousands of workers who lived and worked on site. At its peak, the Zhengzhou complex, nicknamed iPhone City, employed over 350,000 people, all focused on assembling Apple's flagship product. The scale was almost unimaginable, with shifts running around the clock to meet global demand. Foxconn's speed and efficiency were legendary. Assembly lines could be retooled overnight to accommodate new models or sudden changes, a feat few other manufacturers could match. Thousands of workers could be mobilized in a matter of hours, responding instantly to Apple's needs and production schedules. This extraordinary agility gave Apple a massive edge over competitors, allowing it to launch new products faster and more efficiently than any rival in the industry. But this relentless pace came at a cost. The pressure on workers was immense. Reports surfaced of grueling hours, low pay, and even a series of worker suicides, casting a long shadow over Apple's meteoric success. In response, Apple launched audits and introduced strict codes of conduct, promising to improve conditions. Yet, the high-pressure, low-cost model that fueled Apple's rise largely remained in place. This system became the blueprint for Apple's entire supply chain in China, replicated across dozens of cities and countless factories. Apple built a hyper-efficient, tightly controlled ecosystem dedicated to its needs, a private manufacturing state operating within China's borders. The Foxconn empire embodied Apple's ambition, its relentless drive for perfection, and the compromises it made to achieve global dominance. In the end, Apple's efficiency and scale came at a very real human cost, a reality that continues to shape the company's legacy. Apple didn't just assemble products in China, it taught its suppliers to be world-class. Apple sent engineers to train Chinese companies in advanced manufacturing, logistics, and quality control. Small workshops making screws and casings evolved into tech giants like Lens Technology and Luxshare Precision. Apple's rigorous standards transformed these suppliers into global leaders. The skills Apple nurtured spread across China's tech industry, fueling the rise of brands like Huawei and Xiaomi. Apple helped create its own future competitors. As Chinese suppliers grew more powerful, Apple's leverage shifted. It now depended on these highly skilled companies to build its most advanced products. The student had become the master and Apple the dependent. This evolution was a testament to Apple's strategy, but also a new vulnerability. Apple built a technological powerhouse in China, one the Chinese Communist Party was eager to control. The teacher became reliant on its own protégés. By the mid-2010s, Apple faced regulatory crackdowns in China. Services like iTunes Movies and iBooks were abruptly shut down. China was no longer just Apple's factory, it was a massive market. Tim Cook acted fast, flying to China for high-level meetings. The result, a secret 5-year, $275 billion deal with the Chinese government. Apple pledged to invest in China's economy, use more Chinese suppliers, and support local tech companies. A $1 billion investment in Didi Chuxing signaled Apple's loyalty to Beijing. Regulatory pressure eased almost overnight. The message was clear: money talks, and Apple was willing to pay for access and stability. This was more than investment. It was a protection payment. Apple's pact ensured continued business in China, but deepened its dependence on the regime. Doing business in China means navigating a political minefield. Apple's $275 billion pledge bought peace, but at a steep price. While Apple secured its position with the government, it won over Chinese consumers. The iPhone became a status symbol, modern, elite, and aspirational. Huge crowds lined up for new releases, making Apple a cultural phenomenon. Greater China now accounts for about a fifth of Apple's revenue, tens of billions each year. Apple's ecosystem supports millions of Chinese jobs, from factory workers to app developers. This mutual dependence gave Apple leverage with Beijing. But it's a double-edged sword. Nationalism and political tensions can quickly turn public sentiment. Calls to boycott Apple during US-China disputes are a constant threat. Apple's popularity is a massive asset, but it rests on a fragile foundation. The company's fate in China is tied to shifting politics and patriotism. Success in China is both a shield and a risk. Apple's deep integration with China brings profound risks. Nearly all key products are assembled there, a huge vulnerability. COVID-19 lockdowns in China caused factory shutdowns, iPhone shortages, and billions in lost revenue. Apple operates at the pleasure of the Chinese Communist Party, forced to comply with censorship and data demands. Thousands of apps are removed from the Chinese App Store at Beijing's request. iCloud keys for Chinese users are stored on state-run servers, raising privacy concerns. Apple's values of privacy and free expression clash with the realities of doing business in China. Critics call out Apple's double-standard profits over principles. Each compromise deepens Apple's entanglement, making resistance harder. Rising US-China tensions put Apple in the crossfire. If conflict erupts, Apple's business could collapse overnight. Dependence on China is a historic gamble. Apple knows it's over-reliant on China and has tried to diversify. Some iPhones are now assembled in India and Vietnam, but these are small steps. No other country matches China's scale, skill, and infrastructure. Apple's manufacturing ecosystem in China took decades to build and can't be easily replicated. The company is trapped in a golden cage, profitable, efficient, but confining. Decoupling would mean higher prices, lower profits, and years of disruption. Apple optimized for a world of globalization that may be ending. The company walks a tightrope, diversifying slowly while deepening ties to China. Tim Cook touts the mutual benefits, but behind the scenes, Apple scrambles for a plan B. The question, can Apple build an alternative fast enough? The golden cage that fueled its rise could become its greatest liability. Apple's own success now makes escape nearly impossible. The world has changed, and Apple must adapt or face the consequences. Was Apple's China strategy genius or a Faustian bargain? It saved the company, fueled its rise, and put technology in billions of hands. But the bill is coming due. The US-China relationship is now one of rivalry and mistrust. Apple is vulnerable to supply shocks, political retaliation, and moral compromises. The strategy that made Apple strong is now its Achilles heel. Is it worth compromising on values for market access and cheap labor? Apple's story is a case study in the dilemmas of modern capitalism. As consumers, we're all part of this story. Can Apple escape its golden cage, or is the forbidden fruit too sweet to give up? The next chapter is unwritten.